Warren Moon. Rewind to 56 in LA. Harold Warren Moon pops into the world, but life's no cakewalk. Dad passes when he's 7, so young Warren's stepping up, helping his mom raise 5 sisters while slinging that cannon arm at high school. Kid's got that natural juice. Arm like a rocket, vision like a hawk. But the real glow-up hits at the University of Washington from 75 to 77 under Don James. He balls out, snagging Pac-8 Co-Player of the Year in 77 with 1,772 yards and 12 touchdowns, leading the Huskies to the conference crown. Then comes the 78 Rose Bowl against number 2 Michigan, no less. Moon torches him for 205 passing yards, and he walks off with MVP honors. Straight legendary, right? But here's the gut punch. Despite all that shine, the 78 NFL draft? Ghosted, undrafted. Scouts are whispering that old racist BS about black QBs, not leaders, not smart enough, trying to shove him to WR or DB. You can see that it didn't change much in these days because it happened with Lamar in his draft process. Moon, stubborn as hell, confident like a goat, he dips to the CFL to prove him wrong. Up in Canada with the Edmonton Eskimos in over 6 seasons, 78 to 83. He piles up 21,228 yards and 144 TDs. CFL records for his era, no cap. Edmonton's turning into the City of Champions, stacking 5 straight Grey Cups from 78 to 82. That's a league record, dog. Moon snags MVP in 2 of them, 80 and 82. And in 83, he's CFL Most Outstanding Player after dropping a record 5,648 yards. This ain't just surviving, it's dominating. Finally, in 84, the NFL comes calling. Houston Oilers win a bidding war, hiring his old Esks coach Hugh Campbell, and boom, Moon's the highest paid player in the league. Rookie year sets a franchise record with 3,338 yards. Then they plug him into that run-and-shoot offense under dudes like Kevin Gilbride, and it's fireworks. Over 10 seasons with the Oilers, 84 to 93, he drags them to the playoffs 7 times, snagging AFC Central titles in 91 and 93. Holds every major Houston passing record. Many still stand even after they became the Titans. Stats? 33,685 yards, 196 touchdowns. Remember that wild 92 playoff comeback against Buffalo? Moon goes nuclear, 36 for 50, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns, postseason records. But they still choke it away. Heartbreaker, but dude was cooking. He snags Offensive Player of the Year in 90 with 9 300-yard games, tying Dan Marino's mark. Later gigs? Vikes, 94 to 96, where he drops another 4K-plus season. Seahawks, 97 Pro Bowl MVP at freaking 41, and a quick Chiefs stint to cap 17 years with 49,325 yards and 291 touchdowns. Ageless wonder, bro. Arm still elite deep into his 40s. But the legacy? That's where it hits different. Moon's story smashes right into the era's prejudices. Black QBs like him, Doug Williams, Randall Cunningham, James Harris, they got boxed out, undervalued. His CFL detour turns undrafted from a slap in the face to a blueprint for resilience. He stacks 5 rings up north, builds those receipts, storms back to the NFL, and redefines what elite QB play looks like. Dick Night Train, Lane. So picture this. It's 1952. You're an Army vet, you're working in a damn factory, and the NFL has not drafted you, not called you, not even thought about you. No agent, no combine, nothing. Dick Lane walks into the Los Angeles Rams' office with his resume in his hands. But it's not a resume. It's a beat-up scrapbook. Like, literally a scrapbook. Newspaper clippings from high school, junior college, Army ball, all taped in there. That's what he hands the defending champs. Here, this is what I got. Joe Stidehar, the Rams head coach, flips through it like, who is this dude? But the clips are all ball. Picks, big hits, touchdowns. So he's like, all right, let's see if he can really play. At first, they try him at end. But those Rams already have Tom Fears and Crazy Legs Hirsch, both Hall of Famers. So they're like, yeah, we're good here. Then somebody goes, let's put this dude on defense. And that's where the movie starts. Rookie year, 12-game season. Night Train steps in at corner and just starts stealing souls. 14 interceptions in 12 games. 14 picks. That record still stands. Longer season now, more passing now, the ball's in the air way more. and nobody has touched 14. Back then, they were running the ball way more, and he still took it away 14 times. That's not just a good year. That's like the Madden season you post in the group chat because nobody believes you. And the crazy part, that's only one side of why people were terrified of him. Night Train was one of the nastiest hitters to ever put on pads. You know how nowadays you see a hit and immediately look for the flag? Lane was the reason they started changing those rules. He had that infamous Night Train necktie tackle, basically a clothesline. Receiver goes up, ball in the air, and Lane just whips that arm around the neck and drags him out of the sky. It looked like a wrestling move. No, dudes were getting wrecked. The league eventually went, yeah, okay, we can't have that, and banned that kind of high hit. Think about that. You hit so hard and so often they have to rewrite the rule book because of you. That's not a nice little undrafted career. That's you break into the league with a scrapbook and leave as one of the best corners who ever lived. So yeah, when people talk about undrafted DBs hitting like a lightning strike, Night Train is the blueprint. The league ignored him. He walked through the front door anyway, and then he played so hard, so violent, and so well that the record book and the rule book both had to adjust around him. Tell me that doesn't sound like mythology. The only difference is, this one actually happened. Lou Groza. Lou's born to Hungarian and Romanian immigrant folks, growing up in one of those blue-collar families where sports were life. Kid's a straight phenom, captains his high school squads in football, hoops, and baseball, leading them to state glory. Shared football title? Check. Basketball crown where he sets a state tourney score and record? Double check. Athletic genes running deep, dog. He's built for the big stage. Heads to Ohio State as a freshman in 42, and even then, the toes showing out. Nails a 45-yard field goal, which back then was like bombing a 60-yarder today. But World War II calls, Lou serves as a surgical tech in the Pacific, dealing with gnarly wounds in the thick of combat. Talk about toughness. That experience shapes him into the iron-willed vet who ain't fazed by nothing on the field. Post-war, no draft love. Undrafted, straight up. But Paul Brown, the Browns coach and legend himself, had been writing him letters during the war, scouting from afar. Lou signs with Cleveland in 46, debuting in the AAFC as part of that original squad. And bro, what a ride. 21 seasons, all with the Browns, retiring after 67 as the longest tenured pro baller ever at that point. He's the last OG from the 46 team standing when he hangs him up. Helped lock down 8 rings, 4 straight AAFC titles from 46 to 49. Then jumps to the NFL and snags crowns in 50, 54, 55, and 64. That's dynasty fuel, man. Browns owning the era like bosses. Early on, he's a legit two-way monster. Starts at tackle, crushing O-lines and protecting the pocket, while moonlighting as the kicker. All league 8 times as a tackle. Yeah, you heard that right. Nylon, not just for the leg, 9 Pro Bowls total, and in 54, Sporting News crowns him NFL Player of the Year. A back injury benches him in 60, so he shifts to full-time kicker mode till he's 44. Ancient by football standards, but Lou's out there drilling them like it's nothing. Stats? Pioneer level. Racks up 1,608 points, including AAFC, which was an NFL record back then. 264 field goals at a 54.9% clip, solid for an era when kicks were basically prayers. Led the league in makes 5 times, set single-season records for accuracy and volume that held for decades. And long bombs, he's popping 50-plus yarders when most cats wouldn't even attempt them. Revolutionized the position, no doubt. But the signature jam? Christmas Eve, 1950 NFL Championship. Browns' first year in the big league, facing the Rams after dominating the AAFC. Game's a barn burner, 28-28 late, and with 28 seconds left, Lou trots out for a 16-yarder, nails it. 30-28 W, silencing all the haters who said the Browns were AAFC chumps. That kick, it's etched in Browns lore like the heartbeat of the franchise. Undrafted dude delivering the dagger in their NFL debut? Chills, bro. Legacy's ironclad. Hall of Fame in 74. Number 76 retired by the Browns. Sacred ground. The Lou Groza Award's been honoring top college kickers since 92, keeping his name alive. Post-retirement, he runs an insurance gig, stays on as a Browns ambassador, and even throws shade at the 95 move to Baltimore. True dog pound loyalty. Passes from a heart attack in 2000 at 76, but his Browns scoring record, still standing tall. Kurt Warner, born in Iowa back in 71. Kurt didn't just stroll into the league like some blue-chip prospect like Trevor Lawrence. He clawed his way up from nowhere. Remember how he was buried on the bench at Northern Iowa for years? Finally gets his shot senior year, balls out, wins some conference hardware. But like Brady, the scouts didn't see anything special. Goes undrafted in '94, hooks on with the Packers as a free agent, but gets cut before he even sniffs the field. Brutal, right? Ends up stocking shelves at a Hy-Vee supermarket in Cedar Falls, grinding night shifts while dreaming of pigskin glory. But he wasn't done. Jumps to the Arena League with the Iowa Barnstormers in '95. That indoor football circus where it's all bombs and chaos, and turns into a straight-up star, leading him to back-to-back Arena Bowls in '96 and '97, dropping dimes left and right, earning all arena nods. Guy was slinging it so nasty, they later put him on their all-time top 20 list. That got him a ticket to NFL Europe with the Amsterdam Admirals in '98, where he tops the league in yards and TDs, honing that quick release in a wide-open setup. Rams scoop him up as a backup, but he's still riding pine behind Trent Green in '99. Then boom, Green tears his ACL in preseason, and suddenly this 28-year-old grocery bagger is QB1 for a Rams team that just went 4-12. What came next was pure magic. That '99 season? Electric. Kurt explodes for over 4,300 yards, 41 touchdowns, league high, baby, and a ridiculous 109 passer rating. Wins MVP, turns the Rams into the greatest show on turf with Falk, Bruce, Holt. That offense was unstoppable, like a video game on cheat mode. They rip to 13-3, smash through the playoffs. Vikings get torched, Bucks get edged out. Then Super Bowl 34 against the Titans? You had to be there, dude. Kurt airs it out for a record, 414 yards, 2 scores, including that 73-yard laser to Bruce with under 2 minutes left. Game winner, Rams win 23-16. Kurt's Super Bowl MVP, and St. Louis is partying like it's the end of the world. He keeps the fire going. Another MVP in 2001, drags the Rams back to the Super Bowl, but loses that heartbreaker to Brady and the Pats in '36. That game, the start of the dynasty shift, man. Belichick's crew stealing one on a last-second field goal. Injuries hit Kurt hard after that, fumbles creep in. He loses the gig in St. Louis, bounces to the Giants in 2004 as a bridge for Eli, mentored the kid well too, then lands in Arizona in 2005. Cardinals were a joke back then. Perennial losers, no playoff vibe since forever. Kurt splits time with young guns at first, but by 2008, Renaissance mode. Leads him to 9-7, shocks the world with a playoff run. Falcons, Panthers, Eagles all fall. First Super Bowl for the Cards in the modern era at 43 against the Steelers. Kurt throws for a postseason record, 1,156 yards. And in the big game, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost pulls off another miracle drive late. Loses 27-23 on that insane Santonio Holmes toe tap, but damn, the respect was real. Fans in Arizona went from apathy to hysteria. Kurt made them believe. By the time he hangs them up after 0-9, guys got 32,000 yards, 208 touchdowns, that silky 65.5% completion, 93.7 rating. Elite stuff for a dude who only started full-time like 7 seasons. 4 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros, 2 MVPs. Super Bowl MVP. Hall of Fame in 17. Deserved. His legacy? It's that blue-collar grit, man, proving you can come from stocking shelves to hoisting the Lombardi. In an era of flashy rivalries like Rams versus Niners or the budding Pats dynasty, Kurt reminded us football's about heart, not hype. Every time I watch a backup step up, I'm like shades of Warner. What a ride, bro. Guy's story still gives me chills. Cliff Harris. This Arkansas boy born November 10th, 1948 in Blevins, who turned into the backbone of that Dallas secondary, playing free safety like a hawk on the hunt for 10 wild seasons from 70 to 79. Growing up in those small-town fields, then balling at Washita Baptist, a little NAIA joint in Arkadelphia, he's out there as a two-way threat, locking down receivers on D, catching fades on offense. Just a pure athlete with heart bigger than the stadium. But come the '70 draft, NFL, AFL, nothing. Undrafted, brushed off. Even with Dallas scouting hard for DB help, it's like the scouts were blind to the fire in his eyes, you know? Cowboys finally get smart. Watch his college film, sign him as a UDFA, throw him into camp as this underdog nobody, sweating buckets in the Texas heat, proving every snap he belonged. and makes the roster, claws his way to start in free safety as a rook, but life throws a curve, gets called up for 6 months in the Arkansas Army National Guard, misses half the season, that kind of real-life punch that tests a man's soul, leaving family behind, wondering if the dream's slipping away. But Cliff? He comes back mid-71 stronger, pairs up with Charlie Waters at strong safety, and bam, they become this unbreakable tandem, intimidating the hell out of QBs, flying around like brothers in arms, owning the deep field for years. Through it all, 143 games, 114 starts, snagging 29 picks, 365 return yards, turning games with those ball hawk moments that still give me goosebumps. Recovers 16 fumbles too. Tops for DBs back then, just diving into piles like his life depended on it. 4 Pro Bowls 75 to 78. All-Pro or All-NFC 4 times. That's the kind of respect you earn from grinding in the film room, laying hits that echo through the stadium. And the playoffs? Man, starts in 5 Super Bowls, 6, 10, 12, 13, 14, helping Dallas lift the trophy in 6, 12, and 13. Clutch PB us, stuff and runs against the best, feeling the roar of the crowd as confetti falls. Those are the memories that stick, you know? They called him Captain Crash for good reason. Those thunderous tackles on big-time receivers like Harold Carmichael, Ahmad Rashad, laying him out clean but fierce. The kind of pops that made you wince from the couch. Years later, 19, they put him in the Cowboys' Ring of Honor, finally giving him that spotlight he deserved all along. Joe Perry. Born in Stevens, Arkansas, he moved with his family to Los Angeles during the Great Depression and became a 4-sport star at David Starr Jordan High School. At Jordan, he ran track, played baseball and basketball, and played football while idolizing black stars at UCLA, such as Jackie Robinson. Perry hoped to play at UCLA, but was turned down. Instead, he enrolled at Compton Junior College, now Compton College, in 1944, where he erupted for 22 touchdowns in a single season and helped put the program on the national junior college map. Following that breakout year, he entered the U.S. Navy during World War II, serving in the military while continuing to play football for a Naval Air Training Station team in California. It was there, on a service team, on not a college campus, that he was spotted by a San Francisco 49ers player who told the 49ers front office about the undersized, blazing fastback they needed to see. He joined San Francisco that year as an undrafted free agent. At 6'0" and about 200 pounds, he was small by the era's fullback standards, but he possessed sprinter-level speed. Reports from the time credit him with running the 100-yard dash in 9.7 seconds. In his rookie season, he rushed for 562 yards and 10 touchdowns with a 7.3-yard average per carry, then followed with 783 yards and 8 touchdowns at 6.8 yards per carry in 1949, earning all AAFC honors. Unlike most fullbacks of the day, who were pure inside battering rams, Perry combined power with acceleration and lateral quickness, slashing through creases instead of just bludgeoning straight ahead. His peak came in the early 1950s. He led the NFL in rushing in 1953 and 1954 with 1,018 and 1,049 yards respectively, becoming the first player in league history to post back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. In 1954, he was named NFL Most Valuable Player by United Press International, recognized widely as the first African-American player to receive a major NFL MVP award. Yes, he was MVP playing fullback, just insane. Perry was selected to 3 straight Pro Bowls, 1952 to 1954, earned all NFL honors in 1953 and 1954, and was named to the NFL's 1950s All-Decade Team. In the mid-1950s, he formed part of the legendary million-dollar backfield, alongside fellow Hall of Famers Hugh McElhenny, John Henry Johnson, and quarterback Y.A. Tittle. It remains the only full-house backfield in which all 4 members are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When Perry retired after the 1963 season, he did so as the NFL's all-time leading rusher, surpassing Steve Van Buren's previous mark. Jim Brown did not pass Perry's record until 1963. The 49ers retired his jersey number 34 in 1971, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1969, his first year of eligibility. After football, Perry worked in various roles, also including as a sales representative and in community relations for the 49ers. and he remained a frequent visitor to Hall of Fame events in Canton. He died on April 25, 2011, in Chandler, Arizona, at age 84, from complications related to dementia. John Randle. John Randle went undrafted in 1990 out of tiny Texas A&I University, now Texas A&M Kingsville, a Division II program where he'd terrorized quarterbacks with 22 sacks as a senior, but NFL teams saw a 6'1", 278-pound, undersized nose tackle and passed. Born on December 12, 1967, in Corpus Christi, Texas, the youngest of 8, he grew up lean and scrappy, turning a tryout invite from Cardinals into a roster spot. He barely played as a rookie, but traded to the Minnesota Vikings in 1992, he erupted into a one-man wrecking crew. And if you've ever watched highlights of Randle, you know he played like he was personally offended by the existence of the quarterback. He'd trash talk, slap face masks, and bull rush like a guided missile. Pure, unfiltered menace. 137.5 sacks across 14 seasons, 1990 to 2003. Third all-time among DTs when he retired, now fifth. With the Vikings, 1992 to 2000, he piled up 117.5 sacks in 9 years, anchoring a defense that terrorized the NFC peak form hit in 1997, earning Defensive Player of the Year buzz. That 1996 Green Bay game, 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles on Brett Favre, flipping a rivalry bloodbath. He had 10 multi-sack games, including 4 sacks versus Chicago in 1997. Absurd for an interior guy. Relentless doesn't cover it. He had 6 straight Pro Bowls, 1994 to 1999, then a 7th in 2000, 6 All-Pro nods, and the NFL All-Decade Team of the 1990s. Traded to Seattle in 2001, he added 20 sacks over 3 years, retiring at 36, with the Seahawks' single-season sack record. Still stands. Named to the Vikings Ring of Honor and Seahawks Ring of Honor. Randle's edge came with flair. He'd psych himself up by growling stats into a tape recorder pregame, wore a Fun Bunch towel ironically, and danced after sacks. Donnie Shell. We're talking prime 70s Pittsburgh, right in the guts of that steel curtain dynasty that had the league shook. Picture this. Donnie's born back in '52 in this tiny-ass town called Whitmire, South Carolina. Think dirt roads, no spotlights, just that small-town grind-building character. He balls out at South Carolina State, locking it down as a DB and linebacker, a stud, right? But come the '74 draft and the teams were sniffing around, even dangling bigger stacks elsewhere, but nothing happened. Donnie eyes that Steelers rep, the tough-as-nails culture under Chuck Noll, and signs as an undrafted free agent. Smart move, dog, because '74 ain't just any year. It's when the steel curtain starts clamping down, legends stacking up, and Pittsburgh flips from chumps to champs. Early on, he's grinding. Special teams warrior, back up in the secondary, soaking up wisdom from the vets like a sponge. Patience pays, though. Fast forward to '77. Glenn Edwards, that 2-time Pro Bowler strong safety, bounces to San Diego, and Shell slides into the starting gig. From there, 11 straight years as the anchor man, he turns into one of the most feared safeties in the game. No cap. Let's break down the digits that scream legend status. 14 seasons, all in the black and gold, 74 to 87, racking up 201 games, tying the franchise record back then. 51 picks, bro. First strong safety ever to hit 50 career interceptions, and he retired as the all-time leader for him at that spot. Those snags netted 490 yards and a couple TDs. Talk about flipping the field on fools. And get this, at least 1 pick every damn season for 14 years. Consistency like that. In a league where schemes flip-flop and QBs get smarter, that's wizard-level ball hawking. Donnie was the classic strong safety enforcer, stuffing runs, crashing gaps like a freight train, laying wood in the box. But unlike your typical thumper, he had that elite vision. Reading QB's eyes, jumping routes, blitzing from the edge or deep, and still baiting them into picks. Versatile as hell, man. A true game wrecker. Peak Donnie? 5 Pro Bowls from '78 to '82, 4 All-Pro nods, 3 first team, 1 second. And in '80, they slap him with team MVP. On a roster loaded with Hall of Famers like Bradshaw, Harris, and those D-line monsters, a DB Snaglin MVP? That's respect, dog. Voters knew he was top shelf at his position, no debate. And the hardware? Oh, we're talking rings on rings. Donnie's right in the thick of that Steelers run. Super Bowl 9, 10, 13, 14. 4 Lombardis in 6 years, owning the 70s like bosses. That's the kind of arc that gives you chills, bro. By retirement in 87, he's holding or sharing Steelers records. Most seasons, 14, second most games, 201, and high up on that all-time picks list. Franchise peeps, don't forget, he's on the all-time team, the NFL Silver Anniversary Super Bowl squad, and the 75th anniversary crew, straight immortalized. Post-gridiron, Donnie keeps it real. Dives into media with the Sheridan Broadcasting Network, big in Black broadcasting circles, dropping knowledge on sports and culture. Ed Sprinkle. Back in 44, football wasn't this polished circus we got now. No edge rusher title, no fancy graphics, no Pro Bowl invites just for breathing on the quarterback. It was still leather helmet tough, half the league still running single wing like it was 1935, and the other half trying to figure out this newfangled passing thing. And here comes this kid out of the Navy. Ed Sprinkle, no draft call, no phone ringing on draft day, nothing. Just a free agent signature on a Bears contract and a train ticket to Chicago. Undrafted. Straight disrespect from the jump. But oh man, the second he stepped on that field at defensive end, you felt it. Quarterbacks saw him coming and started looking for the sideline before the ball was even snapped. He hit him high, low, late, early. Whatever it took to make him remember the number on his jersey, they called him the Claw. And Papa Bear Halas, George freaking Halas, the man who basically invented pro football, looked at Ed and said, flat out, that's the greatest pass rusher I ever saw. 12 seasons he gave the Bears, 12 years of quarterbacks having nightmares about that red jersey closing fast. Sprinkle wasn't just good, he was the prototype. The first guy who got famous, actually famous, for doing one thing, hunting the quarterback. Before Myles Garrett, before the Watts, before Reggie White, before Deacon Jones even coined sack, there was Ed Sprinkle showing the whole league what pressure was supposed to look like. Every undrafted kid who ever pulled on a helmet and made it, they owe a little piece of their story to Ed, because he was the first one to prove you don't need the league's blessing to become a damn legend. You just need to hit harder than anybody else and never, ever stop. Man, they don't make them like that anymore. Frank Gatzke. Born in Farmington, West Virginia on March 18, 1921, he grew up in a mining town, played at Farmington High, and was recruited to Marshall College, playing as a freshman center and linebacker. He helped power an 8-2 team that led the nation in scoring. His college career was interrupted by World War II service, and he later spent time at Auburn through a wartime program before returning home to work in the coal mines, seemingly done with big-time football, until a former Marshall teammate helped arrange a tryout with the brand-new Cleveland Browns in the All-America Football Conference. He wasn't drafted, he earned that shot in training camp, made the team, and then basically never came off the field. Gatzke started as a linebacker and backup center, but by 1948, had taken over as Cleveland's starting center and held that job for the better part of 9 seasons. From there, he became part of one of the most relentless winning machines the sport has ever seen. 4 straight AAFC titles, 1946 to 1949, with a 47-4-2 record and a perfect 14-0 season in 1948. Then 6 straight NFL title game appearances from 1950 to 1955 after the Browns joined the league. In that span, he snapped to Otto Graham, cleared lanes for Marion Motley, and helped keep a record-setting passing and rushing attack clean. His line allowed few sacks in championship games while Cleveland poured on points and yards. The championship math is almost absurd. Across 12 pro seasons, 11 with Cleveland, 1946 to 1956, and 1 with Detroit, 1957, Gatzke played in 11 championship games and his teams won 8 of them. 7 with the Browns and 1 with the Lions, who beat his old team 59-14 in the 1957 title game. Most players spend a career chasing 1 Super Bowl. His pro life really was, see you in the championship again next year. He was named All-Pro 4 times, 1951, 1952, 1953, 1955, and was widely regarded as one of the strongest, most reliable centers of his era. The detail that he never missed a game or practice in high school, college, or the pros shows up in multiple retrospective profiles. Less a stat than a philosophy about showing up every day in a position where the camera rarely lingered but every quarterback felt every snap. After the Browns traded him to Detroit following the 1956 season, he closed his career with that final championship run and a Pro Bowl, then stepped away from playing. Post-football, he worked as a scout and later served for 2 decades as athletic director and football coach at the West Virginia Industrial School for Boys, staying close to the game and to his home state. Honors followed slowly but meaningfully. Induction into the West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, 1974, Marshall Athletics Hall of Fame, 1985, Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985 as an Old Timers Committee choice, a surprise to him by his own admission, and Marshall retiring his number 75 while naming a bridge near campus in his honor. He died on November 22, 2005, at age 83, remembered locally as the coal miner's son who kept winning rings, and more broadly as the unflashy center who quietly tied together one of football's greatest dynasties, Marion Motley. Motley was born in Leesburg, Georgia, but moved as a child with his family to Canton, Ohio, where his father worked in heavy industry. In Canton, he became a three-sport star at Canton McKinley High School, a powerhouse program that went 25-3 during his football career. After high school, he first attended South Carolina State, a historically black college, then transferred to the University of Nevada in Reno in 1940 to play for Coach Jim Aiken, his former high school coach. Motley's life took a serious turn during his Nevada years when he was involved in a car accident in California that resulted in a pedestrian's death. He was charged with involuntary manslaughter, spent several days in jail, and ultimately received probation after Nevada students and local supporters raised money for his fine and vouched for his character. With 1 year of college eligibility left, he entered the U.S. Navy in 1943 during World War II and was assigned to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station near Chicago, where he played for the powerful service team coached by the legend Paul Brown. When Paul Brown became the first head coach of the new Cleveland Browns in the upstart All-America Football Conference, AAFC, he brought Motley to camp in 1946 as a 26-year-old, undrafted rookie, drawing on their relationship from Great Lakes and from having coached against him in Ohio high school football. That same year, the Browns signed middle guard Bill Willis, and the Los Angeles Rams signed Kenny Washington and Woody Strode. Together, these four men reintegrated Major League professional football after an informal color barrier that had kept black players out of the NFL since the early 1930s. Motley became both a battering ram runner and a critical pass protector for quarterback Otto Graham, so effective that he was nicknamed Graham's bodyguard. From 1946 to 1949, the Browns dominated the AAFC, winning all 4 league championships with a 47-4-3 regular season record. Motley was the AAFC's all-time leading rusher with 3,024 yards and was selected as a linebacker on defense during his first 3 seasons. In 1948, he led the AAFC in rushing, and in 1950, Cleveland's first year in the NFL, he led the NFL in rushing with 810 yards on 140 carries, an average of 5.8 yards per carry, as the Browns won the NFL championship by defeating the Los Angeles Rams. Across 9 professional seasons, 8 with the Browns, 1946 to 1953, and 1 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1955, Motley earned at least 5 all-league selections, was twice named first-team All-Pro, 1948 and 1950, and was selected to the Pro Bowl following the 1950 season. Despite his dominance, his top reported salary was only about $11,500 per year, reflecting the relatively low pay and short careers of players of that era. After retiring, Motley hoped to coach in professional football, but like many Black ex-players of his generation, found opportunities scarce. He worked in various non-football jobs in Ohio and did some scouting, remaining connected to the game mostly through appearances and community roles. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton in 1968, becoming one of the earliest Black players so honored, and later being named to the NFL's 75th anniversary all-time team and its 1940s all-decade team. Motley died of prostate cancer on June 27, 1999, at his son's home in Cleveland, Ohio, at age 79. Jack Butler, a Pittsburgh native born November 12, 1927, he grew up in the city's Oakland neighborhood, the son of Polish immigrants, and attended Mount Carmel High School before heading to tiny St. Bonaventure University, where he played mostly as a wide receiver and defensive back. There, he was coached by future Steelers legend Joe Bach and became part of a little-known pipeline. St. Bonaventure briefly sponsored football and sent a handful of players into the NFL before dropping the sport in the early 1950s. Butler never really expected to be one of them. He planned on a master's degree and took a summer job as an electrician in Pittsburgh until the Steelers called and invited him to camp, largely on the recommendation of his college coach. Signed as an undrafted free agent in 1951, Butler initially made the roster as a long shot and played on both sides of the ball, wide receiver, defensive back, and even occasional place kicker, before settling in as a full-time cornerback. By the time he retired after the 1959 season, he had become one of the most feared ball hawks of his era, 52 career interceptions, second most in NFL history at the time, despite playing only 9 seasons and on mostly mediocre Steelers teams. He made 4 Pro Bowls and was named first-team All-NFL 4 times, with a peak stretch that still jumps off the page. 10 interceptions in 1957, sharing the league lead, and 9 more in 1958. In an era with fewer games and more running, those numbers helped define him as a prototype shutdown corner, aggressive, smart, and with the hands of the receiver he once was. His career, though, ended brutally and suddenly. Late in the 1959 season against the Philadelphia Eagles, Butler got tangled up with tight end Pete Retzloff on a play away from the ball and suffered a devastating leg and knee injury. The damage was so bad that he would eventually undergo more than 10 knee operations over the years, and at just 31 years old, he was forced into retirement. For most players, that would have been the end of their connection to the game. For Butler, it was the start of a second, quieter Hall of Fame resume. After retiring, he became a scout, and ultimately the longtime executive director of the Blesto Scouting Service, one of the league's key regional scouting cooperatives. He was part of the personnel apparatus that helped identify and draft future Hall of Famers, like Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Franco Harris, and others who built the 1970s dynasty. In other words, even when he wasn't on the field, he was quietly shaping exactly the era of Steelers history most people think of first. Late in life, the recognition finally caught up. Butler was named to the NFL 1950s All-Decade Team, selected as one of the 33 greatest Steelers in 2008, and inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor in 2017. His biggest honor came in 2012, when he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a senior nominee and enshrined in Canton, 53 years after his last game. He described the induction as something he had never truly believed would happen, a capstone that felt almost unreal after such a long wait. Ms. Butler died in Pittsburgh on May 11, 2013, at age 85, from complications of a staph infection, Emlyn Tunnel. Born in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and raised in nearby Radnor, he played football and basketball at Radnor High School before earning a football scholarship to the University of Toledo. In 1942, while playing for Toledo, he suffered a devastating neck fracture on a kickoff return and was initially told his football career was over. Rejected by both the U.S. Army and Navy because of that injury, Tunnel was eventually accepted into the U.S. Coast Guard during World War II, serving from 1943 to 1946. During his service, he twice risked his life to save shipmates. Once in 1944 when he dragged a burning comrade through flames after a torpedo attack in New Guinea, and again in 1946 when he dove into frigid North Atlantic waters off Newfoundland to rescue a sailor who had fallen overboard. Yes, you don't get wrong, the man is Hoff and a war hero, a complete badass. After the war, Tunnel resumed his football career, first with the Coast Guard's own teams and then at the University of Iowa, where he played both running back and defensive back for the Hawkeyes in 1946 and 1947. Most NFL teams assumed he would return to Iowa for a third season in 1948 and therefore did not draft him. In the summer of 1948, he hitchhiked roughly 150 miles to New York and walked into the office of New York Giants owner Tim Mara to ask for a tryout. Impressed by his size, about 6'1" and 190 pounds, quickness, and ball skills, the Giants signed him as a free agent to a 1-year contract reported at $5,000, plus a $1,000 bonus. He became the first Black player in Giants history, 2 years after the NFL's color barrier had been broken league-wide, and immediately established himself as a playmaker. 7 interceptions as a rookie in 1948, 10 more in 1949, and the emerging reputation that would earn him the nickname Offense on Defense. He was selected as a first-team All-Pro 6 times and played in 9 Pro Bowls, all while serving as the key strut in the Giants' famed umbrella defense of the 1950s, a 4-1-6 alignment in which he roamed deep as the safety at the very back of the structure. He was a vital part of the Giants' 1956 NFL championship team and later won another league title with the Packers under Vince Lombardi in 1961. By the time he retired after the 1961 season, Tunnell held the NFL's all-time records for interceptions, 79, interception return yards, 1,282, punt returns, 258, and punt return yards, 2,209. He returned 4 of those interceptions for touchdowns and set a then record by playing in 158 consecutive games. In some seasons, his yardage from interception and kick returns actually exceeded the total rushing yards of the league's leading rusher, a statistical snapshot of just how much offense on defense he really generated. After his playing career, Tunnell joined the Giants staff as a scout, special assistant, and eventually defensive backs coach from 1963 to 1974, becoming one of the earliest prominent black assistant coaches in the NFL. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1967 as the first black inductee and one of the first pure defensive specialists ever enshrined. Tunnell died of a heart attack on July 23, 1975, in Pleasantville, New York, at age 50. Drew Pearson. Born in January 12, 1951, up in South River, New Jersey, growing up, he's slinging passes as QB and hauling him in as receiver at South River High. Then heads to Tulsa, switches to full-time WR, snags 15 balls as a sophomore in 70. Cowboys scoop him up as a UDFA, toss him into camp as third string, and special teams grunt. Injuries hit starters Usto and Mike Montgomery. Drew steps up midseason, suits up for 14 games, 6 starts, grabs 22 for 388 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then 74, explosion, 62 catches, 1,087 yards, 2 scores, becomes Roger Staubach's go-to guy, that chemistry clicking like old friends, leading the league in yards per game at 77.6. Over 11 years, 156 games, 143 starts, 489 grabs for 7,822 yards, 16-yard average, 48 touchdowns. Cowboys records when he hung 'em up, man. Tops the NFL in touchdown catches with 8 in 75, 3 Pro Bowls, 74, 76, 77, first team All-Pro 74 to 76. Even lands on the 70s All-Decade team. That's respect earned in the huddle, blood on the turf, those late-night film sessions paying off. Playoffs? Oh, brother, 3 Super Bowls, 10, 12, 13. 6 postseason games total, 13 grabs for 192 yards and a score. But the moment that still gives me chills, 75 NFC Divisional against the Vikes. Time expiring, Staubach launches that desperate 50-yard Hail Mary. Ball sailing through the frozen air, Drew fights through the chaos, hauls it in the end zone for the 17-14 miracle win. Calls it quits after 83. Then the nods come. Cowboys Ring of Honor in 2004, Hall of Fame in 21 as a senior's pick. From overlooked kid to Dallas icon, battling doubts, injuries, and the grind of the game. Jim Langer. Born in May 16, 1948, up in Little Falls, Minnesota. This badass center who lit up the NFL for 12 seasons, mostly anchoring the Dolphins like a boss, passed too soon on August 29, 2019, but his legend? Eternal, bro. Back in college at South Dakota State, Jim's a beast. Middle linebacker, center, even crushing it in baseball, racking all North Central Conference, nods in both football spots. College star, right? But draft day 70, NFL and AFL. Silence. Undrafted, overlooked. The league sleeping on a diamond in the rough. Browns snag him as a free agent, but he was cut in training camp. No regular season snaps. That heartbreaking waiver wire limbo. Then Dolphins O-line coach Monte Quichenberg, yeah, brother of Bob, spots him, twists Don Shula's arm to claim the kid. Jim makes the 70 roster, grinds 2 seasons as reserve guard and special teams grunt, suiting up for 28 games, minimal starts, paying those dues in the trenches, blocking on kicks, building that iron will while the vets ate. But 72? Preseason magic, vet center Bob DeMarco gets shipped to Cleveland. Door swings open. Jim battles, wins the start and center gig outright, logs every offensive snap in that mythical 17-0 perfect Dolphins run. 14 regular games, 3 playoffs, including Super Bowl 7. At 6'2", 250, he's the rock pairing with Larry Little on the right. Bob Kochenberg left, forming that unbreakable interior wall, plowing paths for the rush that owns souls. Holds that center throne through 79, starting 128 straight. A Dolphins record back then, 141 consecutive overall, counting playoffs. First team All-Pro 4 times, 73 to 75 and 77. Second team in 72, All AFC 5 in a row, 73 to 77. 6 straight Pro Bowls, 73 to 78. That's elite. His teammates vote him Dolphins as MVP. Langer starts 3 straight Super Bowls, 6, tough loss to Dallas, then 7, 14 to 7 over Washington, and 8, 24 to 7 over Minnesota. Part of that dynasty that defined the 70s. Finishes with 2 years in Minnesota, 80 to 81. Start in 16 before a knee injury calls time. Total, 203 games, 156 starts. Pure warrior grind. Honors flood in. Dolphins honor. Watching him snap back in the day, it was poetry in the pit, heart-pumping nostalgia that still chokes me up. His legacy, the soul of the game, inspiring every underdog hustling today, reminding us why football's more than a sport, it's family, fire, and forever. Sam Mills. He went undrafted in 1981 out of Montclair State University, a small Division III school in New Jersey, where he'd been a standout but overlooked by NFL scouts craving bigger names and frames. Born on June 3, 1959, in Long Branch, New Jersey. After going unpicked in the 1981 NFL Draft, he grinded in the USFL with the Philadelphia/Baltimore Stars, winning 2 championships, 1983 to 84, and earning Defensive Player of the Year honors. Proving he belonged anywhere football was played, that USFL shine caught the New Orleans Saints' eye, who signed him in 1986 at age 27. And if you know Sam Mills, you know the first word people use isn't stats, it's leader. Mills had that rare thing where teammates felt calmer just because you were in the huddle. His quiet intensity steadied storms. Mills was the cornerstone of the Saints' legendary Dome Patrol linebacker corps, 1986 to 1990, alongside Ricky Jackson, Vaughn Johnson, and Pat Swilling, one of the most fearsome units ever, leading the NFL in defense 4 straight years. Mills started immediately as the weakside linebacker, racking up 663 tackles, 20 sacks, 11 interceptions over 5 Saints seasons, earning 5 Pro Bowls, 1986 to 90, 3 All-Pro nods, and a spot on the NFL's 1980s All-Decade team. The Saints went from 2 of 14 in 1985 to perennial contenders, winning their first playoff game ever in 1987 behind that linebacker wall. Released in 1991 amid salary disputes, Mills landed with the expansion Carolina Panthers in 1995 at age 36. He played 3 seasons, 1995 to 97, starting 47 games with 258 tackles, and NFC Defensive Player of the Year, 1996, helping the young franchise to a 12-4 wildcard season. Injuries forced retirement after 1997, but his legacy exploded off-field. Mills was diagnosed with intestinal cancer in 2003. Told he had weeks, he beat it back to coach high schoolers, then returned to the Panthers in 2004 despite recurrence. His mantra, "Keep pounding," became the team's rallying cry after he died on February 18, 2005 at 46. The Panthers still drum it before every game, honoring the undrafted soul who outlasted and out-inspired his diagnosis. Across 12 NFL years, 1986 to 97, 149 starts, 1,313 tackles, 23 sacks, 11 interceptions, Mills earned 6 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pros, and spots on the NFL 100th anniversary team and both franchises' rings of honor. The Pro Football Hall of Fame inducted him in 2022, not just for production, but the full impact of what he represented. Leadership that quieted chaos, heart that redefined linebacker size. Willie Wood. Born William Vernell Wood Sr., back on December 23, 1936, in the heart of D.C., Washington, man, where the politics are shady, but the football dreams are real. Kid was a beast at Armstrong High School, balling out like nobody's business. Then he heads west to Cali for that junior college grind at Coalinga. Earns himself All-American nods there as a freshman, showing flashes of that dual threat magic. Fast forward to 57, he transfers to USC, the Trojans, under coach Don Clark. And get this, he becomes the first Black quarterback in what we now call the Pac-12. Talk about breaking barriers, dude. He's slinging passes and also moonlighting at safety. Just versatile as hell, but life's a contact sport, right? Injuries hit him like a blindside blitz, shoulder tweak in 58 as a junior, and then a full separation in 59 his senior year. Misses games, scouts ghost him, and boom, the 1960 NFL draft comes and goes with crickets. No team wants to touch him. But Willie's not the type to fade into the sunset. Nah, he grabs a pen and shoots a letter straight to Vince Lombardi himself, the godfather of Green Bay. "Give me a shot, coach," basically. Lombardi, being the no BS legend he is, invites him to camp, signs him as an undrafted free agent. They give him a quick spin at QB, but Willie sees the writing on the wall and says, "Put me on, D-man." Boom. Recast as a free safety, and the rest is Packers lore. Dude hits the field in 60, starts contributing right away on special teams and those nickel packages, the sub stuff where you gotta earn your stripes. By 61, he's locked in as the starter at free safety, and he owns that spot till he hangs him up after 71. At 5'10", 190 pounds, he wasn't burning dudes with 4.3 speed or nothing, but oh man, his quicks? Elite. Instincts sharper than a ref's flag, and his tackling? Textbook, bro. Wrap-up, drive-through, no arm tackles here. He's patrolling the deep middle, like a hawk in Lombardi's schemes, just feasting on QBs who dare to test him. Stats time, because you love when I drop the numbers. 166 regular season games, 48 picks. Yeah, interceptions, returned for 699 yards and 2 TDs, plus 187 punt returns for 1,391 yards and 2 more scores. Led the league in punt return average in 61 with 16.1 yards a pop, including 2 house calls. Then in 62, he tops the NFL with 9 picks, straight ball hawk mode. Hall of Fame vibes all over. First or second team All-NFL, 9 straight years from 62 to 70, 8 Pro Bowls, 63, 65 to 71. And don't get me started on the hardware. Played in 6 NFL title games. Packers win 5. 61, 62, 65, 66, 67. That's how Green Bay earned Titletown, USA, dude. They were unstoppable. And Willie was the glue in that secondary. Now the playoffs? Chef's kiss? Starting free safety in Super Bowl I and II. Those early ones that put the NFL on the map. Super Bowl I against the Chiefs, Packers up 14-10 early third quarter, hanging on by a thread. Len Dawson tries to air it out, but Willie sniffs it out, jumps the route, snags the pick, and houses it 50 yards to the Chiefs' 5. Next play, touchdown. Game over. 35-10 blowout. Iconic, man. That's the kind of play that gets etched in Canton. Super Bowl II. He's out there fielding punts too. 5 for 35 yards, just doing it all. Within the locker room, he was the dude. The defensive captain in 70-71. Basically the QB of the back end. Teammates called him the brains of the operation. Always barking calls, keeping everyone locked in. After 71, he retires, but football's in his blood. Jumps into coaching, and in 73, he's head man for the Philadelphia Bell in the World Football League. First black head coach in modern pro ball, breaking ground again. Then up north to the CFL with the Toronto Argonauts, same deal, pioneer status. Packers Hall of Fame in 77, Pro Football Hall in 89. Well-deserved, no debate. Later years weren't easy though. Battled dementia, that silent killer hitting too many of our gridiron heroes. Passed away February 3rd, 2020, back in D.C. at 83. Bill Willis. Willis was born in Columbus, Ohio, and grew up there, excelling in both football and track at Columbus East High School. Eager to step out of the shadow of his older brother, a celebrated fullback, he chose to play on the defensive line rather than in the backfield and earned honorable mention All-State recognition. He then stayed close to home and enrolled at Ohio State University, where he joined both the football and track teams. Coming out of Ohio State, playing mostly tackle, he helps them snag their first national title in 42, then goes consensus All-American in 43 and 44 as a two-way beast. Plugging holes on D, opening them on O, just dominating that old-school leather helmet era. But man, despite all that shine, Bill knows the score. Mid-40s NFL's got this ugly, unwritten ban on black players, slamming doors shut, leaving no path to the pros. So after graduating, he took a job in 1945 as head football coach and athletic director at Kentucky State, a historically black college, while still hoping for an opportunity to play professionally. When he learned that his former college coach, Paul Brown, was building a new team in the upstart AAFC, the Cleveland Browns, Willis sought a chance to try out. At his first Browns training camp, Willis was placed at middle guard. the center of a five-man defensive front against the starting offense. On 4 consecutive plays, he blew past the center so quickly that he crashed into quarterback Otto Graham almost as soon as the ball was snapped. The coaches assumed he must be offside. Paul Brown, who had coached him at Ohio State and valued precision, personally checked the timing and discovered Willis was simply that fast and that instinctive. Brown signed him to his first professional contract that very night, beginning an 8-year run in which Willis anchored the middle of Cleveland's defense and appeared in 99 regular season games. With Willis as defensive centerpiece, the Browns became one of the most dominant teams in pro football history. They won all 4 AAFC championships from 1946 through 1949 and reached the league championship game in each of Willis's 8 seasons, capturing a 5th title in their first year in the NFL by winning the 1950 NFL championship. Man, he redefined middle guard, laying the blueprint for what became the modern middle backer, blowing up plays at the snap while dabbling some on offense too. But the legend peaks December 17th, 50, American Conference playoff against the Giants, Browns nursing a 3-0 lead late. Like Bill was carrying more than just the team, breaking barriers with every hit, every hustle. Willis played for the Browns from 1946 through the 1953 season before retiring from professional football. Rather than pursue a long coaching career, he turned his focus to public service and youth work. He served as Cleveland's Assistant Recreation Commissioner and then became chairman of the Ohio Youth Commission, a statewide role he held for many years, working with troubled and at-risk youth. For his college career, he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1971, and Ohio State later made him a charter member of its Varsity O Hall of Fame. In 1977, he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, one of the first defensive specialists from the modern era to be so honored. On November 3, 2007, Ohio State retired his jersey number 99, recognizing his impact on the program and on integration in sports. Willis died later that month, on November 27, 2007, in Columbus of complications from a stroke at age 86. Mick Tingelhoff. Born May 22, 1940, out in Lexington, Nebraska. Small-town farm life, getting after it on the dirt, playing high school ball where he's just a solid kid from the heartland. No fancy recruiting buzz, no 5-star hype. He walks on at the University of Nebraska, Cornhuskers, man, and letters 3 years, mostly snapping at center. He's co-captain his senior year in 61, but let's be real, he ain't making All-American lists or even all-conference headlines. He gets a look in the Senior Bowl and All-American Bowl, shows some flash, but come the 1962 NFL Draft and the AFL Draft, crickets, completely undrafted. But the Vikings? Brand new expansion team, only in their second year, desperate for bodies. They scoop him up as an undrafted free agent, invite him to camp thinking maybe linebacker. Dude's tough, right? Preseason hits, they slide him to center, and boom, he doesn't just make the roster, he wins the damn job as a rookie. Starts all 14 games in 62, and guess what? He never misses another one, ever. We're talking 240 straight regular season starts, plus 19 playoff games. At retirement in 78, that streak was second only to his teammate Jim Marshall's 270. Still ranks up there with the all-timers like Favre, Marshall, Rivers. Ironman status, no cap. Mick wasn't just durable, he was elite, bro. Undersized at like 6'2", 237. Back then, that's small for a center, but he played bigger than anybody. Quick feet, nasty leverage, football IQ through the roof, and toughness that'd make Butkus respect him. He's calling protections, snapping to Tarkenton, the Hall of Famer scrambling legend, and holding the line against monsters like Dick Butkus, Bears, Ray Nitschke, Packers, Joe Schmidt. That NFC Central was a war zone full of HOF linebackers, and Mick was in the trenches every Sunday. Accolades? 7 straight All-NFL/All-Pro. Nods from 64 to 70. 6 consecutive Pro Bowls, 64 to 69. In 69, he's named the NFL's top blocker by the 1,000-yard club, while the Vikes go 12-2 with the league's highest-scoring O, anchors that line for 10 division titles in 11 years. 68 to 78 helps them to 5 NFC/NFL championship appearances and starts in all 4 Super Bowls. 4, that Chiefs upset loss, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they didn't win the big one, but getting there 4 times in that era? Legendary. Bud Grant makes him a captain alongside Marshall, emotional leader, tactical brain of the offense. Teammates said he was the guy who kept everybody locked in, calling audibles, setting the tone. After hanging him up in 78, the love pours in. Nebraska Football Hall of Fame 80, Vikings Ring of Honor 01, jersey number 53 retired, one of the rare ones. And man, but the Hall of Fame? He waits forever, 32 years after eligibility. Finally gets in via seniors committee in 2015. Health issues hit hard, memory loss from all those years taken hits at center, CTE vibes, sad reality for too many O-linemen. His roommate and QB Fran Tarkenton gives the enshrinement speech, calls him the Minnesota Viking and one of the greatest offensive linemen ever, emotional as hell. Emmitt Thomas. If we're chopping it up about those lockdown corners, who straight up defined the Chiefs' glory days in the AFL and early NFL, you can't skip Emmitt Thomas, the undrafted baller who turned into a pick machine and then a coaching wizard. Born in '43 down in Angleton, Texas, Emmitt shines at Bishop College in Dallas, this HBCU spot under Coach Abe McCutcheon, locking down as a DB solid college run. But 66 drafts? AFL and NFL both ghost him. No love. But Eddie Robinson from Grambling hooks him up with a rec to Hank Stram. And boom, Chiefs sign him as a UDFA. Makes the squad, starts balling right away, sticks for 13 seasons straight through 78, playing 181 games, starting 159. By retirement, guys got 58 picks. Chiefs record that still holds, man, with damn near 940 return yards and 5 TDs. At the time, that 58 was 5th all-time in the league. Even now it's top 20. Emmitt's prime? Pure dominance. Leads the AFL with 9 interceptions in 69, then tops the NFL with 12 in 74, just too shy of Night Train Lane's record. Earns an AFL All-Star nod in 68, 4 Pro Bowls post-merger, 71, 72, 74, 75, 3 All-AFC honors, and a spot on the 70s All-Decade team. He was the heart of those Stram defenses in the Chiefs' golden era. That bump-and-run era before the rules got all soft helped snag AFL West titles in 66 and 68, AFL championships in both 66 and 69. Remember the 69 run? Chiefs shock the world as underdogs. Emmitt grabs a pick in every playoff game. 1 against the Jets in the divisional, 2 in the AFL title tilt with the Raiders, including a 47-yard scamper that sets up a score, dagger, and seals Super Bowl IV with a snag off Joe Cap against the Vikes. Chiefs win 23-7, upsetting the NFL old guard. You had to be there, bro. That game in New Orleans flipped the script on the merger with the AFL proving they belonged. Arrowhead, well, municipal back then, was electric. Fans felt invincible with guys like Emmitt, Buck Buchanan, and that crew, shutting down aerial attacks in a league getting past happy. Post-playing, Emmitt doesn't fade. Dives into coaching for 38 years. Comes home to KC as DB coach 10-18 under Andy Reid, developing beasts like Tyrann Mathieu, guys' fingerprints all over modern ball. Chiefs Hall of Honor in '86, Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2008. Well-deserved for a player who grinded from undrafted to icon. Sad that we lost him in 24-81, but his legacy? It's that Chiefs grit in the AFL-NFL wars, those rivalries with the Raiders, Broncos, all that bad blood. Larry Little, born in November 2nd, 1945, down in Groveland, Florida. Picture a kid from a historically black college like Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, ballin' out, thriving on the field, even starting the Big Brothers chapter on campus. Heart of gold, right? But come draft day 67, NFL and AFL both, undrafted, unheralded, like the league didn't see the fire burning in him. Chargers scoop him up as a free agent for a measly $750 bonus. Pocket change, brother. And he grinds as a reserve guard on those 67 and 68 squads that went 8-5 and 1 and 9-5. Suits up for 24 games, starts 4, just quietly stacking reps, learning the pro ropes in the shadows, taking those licks in practice, building that unbreakable mentality. Then, boom, pre-69, our Chargers flip him to Miami for a 3rd-round pick. Worst trade ever for San Diego, man. Straight robbery in hindsight. Larry hits South Beach, wins that starting right guard spot day 1, and holds it down for 11 straight seasons. 156 starts out of 183 games from 69 to 80. Teams up with Langer at center, Kuchenberg on the left, and they form this intimidating wall, the heart of Miami's ground and pound rush that just brutalized defenses week in, week out. First team All-NFL 6 times, 71 through 75, and 77, second team in 70 and 78. First team All-AFC 5 times. That's dominance, pure beast mode between the hashes. 5 Pro Bowls, 70, 72 to 75. Getting that aloha from the league's elite. And here's the kicker. Only dude ever to snag NFL. Players Association AFC Offensive Lineman of the Year 3 in a row. Official stamp saying he owned the era at guard. But the glory? That perfect 72 Dolphins season, 17-0, rushing for a record 2,960 yards in 14 games, over 211 a pop, behind Sonka's 1,117, Morris hitting 1,000, kick at 521, Larry pulling like a freight train, opening holes that swallowed linebackers whole, starts in all 3 Super Bowls, 7 and 8 champs, 2 rings gleaming, and plus those 3 straight AFC title games, 71 to 73. Then the honors roll in. Bethune-Cookman Hall of Fame, 83, Dolphins Honor Roll 93, and that Canton call the same year. First right guard enshrined, only third guard overall. From undrafted doubt to Hall immortality, proven every scout wrong with that quiet fire. His legacy, it's the blueprint for the grind, the heart that makes this game eternal. Still gets me choked up, thinking about Willie Brown. Speaking of shutdown corners who straight up owned the AFL and NFL back in the day, you gotta talk about Willie Brown. Old man Willie himself, the Raiders legend who was a nightmare for QBs everywhere. Born in 40, down in Yazoo City, Mississippi, moves to Louisiana as a kid, balls out in high school football and track at Jim Hill, then heads to Grambling under the GOAT coach Eddie Robinson. Willie was a stud there, even senior class prez, but come 63 draft, nothing. No NFL or AFL team touches him. Brutal snub, right? But Eddie pushes for a tryout with the Oilers. They sign him as a UDFA, only to cut his ass in camp. No snaps. Then Denver Broncos scoop him up in the AFL, and by mid-rookie year, he's locking down as a starter. Man, 64 explosion, 9 picks, and including that insane 4 INT game against the Jets, ties the pro record, earns All-AFL, MVP of the All-Star game. Fans in Denver were buzzing. The AFL was wild back then, all about those high-flying offenses, and Willie was the dude flipping the script on D. Gets traded to the Raiders in 67, and oh boy, that was the match made in heaven. Al Davis's crew, under Rauch and then Madden, perennial ballers, always in the hunt, scrapping with the Chiefs, Jets, all those AFL beasts before the merger. Willie becomes defensive captain for a decade, anchoring that nasty secondary. Plays 12 seasons in Oakland, hits 3 AFL title games, 6 AFC championships, 2 Super Bowls. Remember Super Bowl II after 67? Raiders get there but fall to the pack. AFL, NFL clash at its peak with the merger looming. Then, fast forward to the 70s post-merger madness, rivalries heating up with the Steelers, Dolphins, all that steel curtain vibe. Willie, consistent killer. Over 16 years, 54 picks, 472 return yards. 2 regular season touchdowns, but playoffs. 3 pick sixes off Hall of Famers like Grease, Bradshaw, Tarkenton. Dude intercepted at least 1 ball every season for 16 straight. Only guy in history. 7 All-League nods, 5 AFL All-Stars, 4 Pro Bowls, spots on the AFL All-Time Team. 70s All-Decade, even the NFL 100th Anniversary Squad. His bump and run was filthy. Receivers hated lining up against him. Fans in the black hole, they worshiped the ground he walked on. He embodied that Raider swagger, that just-win baby grit in an era when the game was getting faster, more physical. Super Bowl 11 in 77 against the Vikes. Raiders up big late, but Willie, at 37, jumps a Tarkenton floater meant for Sammy White. Boom, 75-yard pick six down the sideline. Sets a Super Bowl record at the time, and that old man Willie seals the deal. Raiders win 32-14, first title post-merger. You had to be there, bro. Pasadena was rocking, and it felt like the Raiders were finally kings after all those close calls. The hangover from that? Epic. Willie hangs him up after 78, jumps right into coaching DBs for the Raiders 79-88. Molds Hayes and Haynes into All-Pros, part of 2 more Super Bowl rings, 15 and 18. Later coaches at Long Beach State, does front office stuff, ambassador gigs with the silver and black till he passes in 2019 at 78. Now I want you to tell me in the comments, which undrafted Hall of Famer has the wildest story to you? Night Train walking in with a scrapbook, Warren Moon leaving the country to become undeniable, John Randle turning into a sack factory from nowhere, or Kurt Warner's rise that still feels like a movie? If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe to Dawg Sports, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.